Mental illness is not a poetic muse. It is a battle that demands understanding, not romanticizing. Both happen. Good morning, educators, advisors, parents, and students. My name is Anabel, and now I want to present about my PDP research. That is about what is the impact of the idolization of mental illness on social media to young adults on private school in Surabaya. Well, as you heard from the quotes before, what is mental illness? Of course, many of you are very much aware of this term. But when you hear those words, what comes to your mind? A disorder? A way to get attention? Or people that really needed help? Well, according to the WHO, mental illness is a disturbance in individuals' cognitions, emotions, and behavior. The most common mental illness are depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. In 2023, last year, the state of mental health in America reported that 21% of the adults are experiencing at least one mental illness. That is around 50 million people. That's a lot, right? Well, but today, I'm not just going to talk about mental illness itself. However, I'm going to discuss about the romanticization or the idolization of mental illness. Many of you are probably not aware of this term. Well, let me kindly explain to you. Romanticizing means to describe something and making it seem as more appealing and attractive than it actually is. Idolizing means to admire something. So, the romanticization or the idolization of mental illness are making mental illness appear more desirable or attractive, even as an aesthetic. It is seen as something cool and trendy. It is also called as the beautiful sufferings according to professional Aditi Verma. It alters the image of mental illness on social media and only shows the good parts of mental illness and not accurately showing the real problem of having mental illness. Mental illness were once stigmatized or known as something taboo, but now it has become too glamorized by people nowadays. You might be wondering why. Why are people doing this? Well, they did this to gain validation and attention from people. It is the era where people can gain attention with just one click of a post, and people can empathize with them and give them attention. And now I'm specifically researching on what is the impact of the idolization of mental illness on social media to young adults on private school in Surabaya. I use two methods, which is quantitative methods and qualitative methods. As for the quantitative methods, I use Google Form to share a survey question to private schools in Mawar, Sharon School. I've gathered in total 62 respondents from the questionnaires. However, there are some errors in the questionnaires, therefore the data will be gathered from two forms. Yet the data that have more respondents will be the main reference for the data analysis. As for the qualitative methods, such as interview with school counselors that are expert in this field. As you can see from the slides right here, do you believe that the romanticization of mental illness on social media can cause negative consequences? Based on the data, 87.2% of the respondents agree that the idolization of mental illness on social media causes negative consequences. 12.8% somewhat agree, and 0% of them disagree. The lack of disagreement concludes that the respondents see that the romanticized portrayals of mental illness in social media causes negative effects. Those data are supported with the interview with the experts, where the researcher inquired them about what are the effects of the romanticization of mental illness in social media to young adults nowadays. Well, according to the experts' opinion, social media often portrays mental illness in an idealized way. It misconcepts the real challenge of having mental illness, causing young adults to have unrealistic expectations about mental illness. Also, young adults may be influenced by the romanticized portrayals of mental illness on social media that cause them to mimic and follow the trend to have mental illness, also claiming themselves that they have mental illness just to get attention from other people. As for the next data, do you think the idolization of mental illness on social media causes misconception about mental health? 87.2% of the respondents agree that it can cause misconception. The rest, 12.8%, disagree that social media causes misconception about mental health. As said before, Social media often portrays mental illness as an aesthetic. Back then, when Tumblr was very popular, there are cute quotes related to mental illness. Some of the examples are, "I'm jealous of people that have enough self-control to be anorexic." And it is beautifying the reality of having mental illness. Another example of a movie is called 13 Reasons Why. You might be familiar with this movie since it was quite popular in Netflix when it was first released. It tells a story about a teenager in a high school named Hannah Baker that killed herself. She leaves a tape recording that are filled with reasons why she killed herself and people that drive her to do the action. This movie received so much backlash from people and from mental health experts because according to mental health experts, it glamorized the idea of suicide as a revenge fantasy to people. This is also one of the evidence of criticism against this movie. As from the expert from the opinion, can social media cause the romanticization of mental illness? Why? These questions are inquired to the experts. Well, according to them, they both agree that social media can actively contribute to this issue. Since with social media, individuals can easily get attention and empathy from people. They also mentioned that social media are actually a neutral place. However, how the users use it in a good way or bad way can affect its neutrality. As for the next data, how do you think the romanticization of mental illness on social media affects people that are dealing with mental health issues? 72.3% of the respondents thinks that it can discourage individuals from seeking professional help and proper treatment from people. And 72.3% thinks that it can cause misconception of the idea of mental health. 55.3% of them thinks that it can be potentially triggering or worsening symptoms. Here are some posts that are romanticizing mental illness on social media. I mainly found them on TikTok and mostly I found them on Pinterest as well. Imagine what does the mental illness victim see when they see this. Well, according to interview with the experts, it can affect mental illness victims by the idolization of mental illness causes mental illness to be normalized to the point that mental illness victims perceive those conditions as normal, which can hinder them to seek from professional help. As for the possible solution or recommendation, is to bring awareness regarding to this issue. By using development program, the students can be taught about this issue. Also, using students and parents counseling can also bring reminders and awareness as well. Other than that, the experts also emphasize to have a strong and positive community that is needed. So, using OSIS programs, we can build a strong and positive community together. One of the examples of the programs are last year OSIS used Kubu Doa, which is some kind of like a connect group that helps to build a strong community in school. In conclusion, the idolization of mental illness causes negative impacts to young adults. It causes them to mimic and follow the trends to have mental illness, and also normalizing mental illness as something normal, when in reality it is not. In reality, depression is not cute, anxiety is not special, and self-harm scars are not even aesthetic, and suicide is not a revenge fantasy. We don't need mental illness to be more captivating to get others' attention. There's no charm in that. Being mentally ill hurts, and it is hard. And for those of you that have experienced mental illness, here's a Bible verse for you. Isaiah 41 verse 10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. That is it all for my presentation. Thank you and God bless you.